Greetings, sailors, and welcome back to Warships and a look at the latest Research Bureau ship to be added, the Hector, which is a Tier 9 British but in the Commonwealth tree cruiser. Now, something about this looks familiar in terms of its turrets and its turret setup, at least at the rear, I guess, more than the front. The front's a bit wacky looking. This is, in fact, an enlarged Dido class, and this is a proposal that actually existed. We had, back in, I think, October or November, we had a podcast episode with Drakinifel where he actually went into a bit more detail about how this design and related designs came to be. But yes, it is essentially an enlarged Dido class with obviously more turrets, but obviously the most striking thing is these twin side-by-side turrets at the front, which is a pretty unusual feature for any high-tier cruiser. I think there's a couple of the very low-tier cruisers where you see side-by-side guns, but not so much at this tier, certainly not side-by-side turrets. So what you have at Tier 9 is pretty much what you'd expect for a British light cruiser. It's very, very squashy, but it does also have very good stealth. The AA is less good than you would think, considering these are all secondary, dual purpose, not secondary, all dual purpose main battery guns. But because, of course, they're putting out flak, I mean, it probably does put out a fair number of flat clouds, but actually it says there 5, so it's not as many as you would expect, but it's overall not necessarily what you would expect for that amount of dual purpose. But you look at things like the Atlanta these days, and yeah, they are definitely not what they used to be. You've also got decent torpedoes. You can see there. That's the main battery, that's not the torpedoes. You've got 10-kilometer torps, not particularly fast, decent damage. You can just stealth torp, but I don't think I'd rely on doing that necessarily with only 600 meters. And with the range upgrade, you can get up to 18.1 kilometers, but you don't have a particularly flat trajectory with those shells. It does, in line with the Perth, also come with a creeping smoke, and you have the option of either defensive or the hydro. And I think the hydro, whenever you have that option, is probably the more useful. You can also see the rest of what I've got there as well. I actually went with AA guns in place of aiming system or torp tubes. I think any of those three would probably be valid, or even actually smoke generator. Why didn't I take the smoke generator? I've got smoke generator available. That would make the most sense because it's got the creeping smoke. So why don't I just do that then? I didn't even notice that I had that when I was setting it up. There you go, I'm a professional. So there, that will extend the amount of time that the smoke lasts for, but of course it then means that you're waiting that bit longer for the cooldown to be over, because these do not have an especially quick cooldown. It's still, where are we? Yeah, action time lasts now almost as long as the cooldown does. But it's used at the right moment. It's potentially very, very useful. Anyway, let's give this a go. This is not my comfortable kind of cruiser for being in at high tiers, so yes, I probably will be playing it quite cautiously, and there's every chance I will just get completely obliterated if I get spotted at the wrong moment. Some people enjoy that kind of high-risk, fragile cruiser gameplay at the high tiers, but yeah, I prefer things like the German Tier 9 premium cruisers, the Siegfried, and what's the other one? The Aegea, Kano, Azuma, Yoshino, Alaska. I prefer the bigger ones with the heavier guns. So this kind of relatively fast firing thing is not necessarily my forte, but we're going to give it a go anyway. So we have a carrier, only one destroyer. It is a Tier 9 game. This is actually not too bad. I mean, obviously I have to be incredibly wary of all of the battleships, but the presence of the there only being one destroyer limits the spotting surface potential. Of course, there's still every chance I can get spotted by the carrier as well. But yeah, in terms of the enemy cruisers, I think I am by far the sneakiest. Yeah, I will be. They don't have any. They don't have like an Edinburgh or anything like that, or some of the high-tier Japanese cruisers can be quite sneaky. What's my detection range? 6. So yeah, the air detection is actually quite sneaky as well, but obviously nowhere near as sneaky as a destroyer. Why is that gone down? I don't know. Anyway, you do also get the enhanced acceleration, it being a light cruiser hull, or Royal Navy light cruiser hull as well, so you've got that going on, which is quite nice. And as you can see, the speed with a Sierra Mike flag, which I'm pretty sure I've got on this. It's hard to tell these days. You used to be able to, at a glance, see what signals you were flying, and these days on some ships, look at that, they're absolutely tiny, so no, I have no way of seeing if I do actually have that on. Heck, you used to be able to look at other people's signals and see what they had on. There's one slight downside of the signal changes, I suppose, if you're the kind of person that could have that memorised. Right, our own destroyer spawned there, so I'm hoping that means their lightning also kind of spawned there. Their CV is going mid as well. I could even open fire already, but that would be a bit silly. Oh, no, I'm spotted. Okay, so the lightning is here, and I guess we're about to see if people start firing at me. Yeah. I kind of want to turn before I start. Yeah, that was a bit nasty. There he is. Doing my fuel smoke, but that's fine. You do have high explosive, this being a Commonwealth ship, so this with only AP would probably be a bit more frustrating, but the downside is that, I mean, they're not huge caliber shells, so and you don't quite have the rate of fire of some other small caliber guns. In fact, there are larger caliber guns than this that I think fire a little bit quicker. So yeah, it's not like super monstrous rate of fire, but it's pretty good, and you also have obviously a pretty decent number of barrels to work with as well. So yeah, I got a bit lucky with that turn there. You do have a heal. I don't know if it's as effective as the regular Royal Navy cruiser super heal. There's the lightning. They've only got the short duration smokes. If we can take them out, that will help our Asashio a fair bit potentially, because of course the Asashio cannot torpedo them. But still a fair bit left. I don't know why I didn't. Why didn't I have the smoke generator? I don't know. I don't know. That was a bit silly of me. I could, in theory, where are we? Do some wide spreads of torps out. They do have the range. I mean, you've only got like the very narrow or the very wide, so you don't really have the kind of regular torp spread on this. Alas. Right, decent number of hits, but yeah, not a hugely high fire chance even with flags and whatnot. You can take the captain's skill, of course. Actually, can you on cruisers? I'm sure you can. But yeah, there's quite a few useful skills. I keep speeding up when I don't mean to. Fingers behave. It's a creeping smoke brain. It's not the other kind. I mean, there's not that many ships with the slow speed creeping smoke. I've played my Italian cruisers with their high speed smoke a lot more than I've played with the relatively few ships that have the creeping smoke, just because, you know, there's not that many of them. Right, let's put torpedoes out vaguely in that direction. I wonder if I can maybe use one of these islands. Maybe. Might just about have range, but they're all fairly far back, aren't they? Someone's clearly not happy with their teammates. I mean, obviously it's a shockingly unprecedented thing in World of Warships. Right, yeah, just do a bit of dodging and weaving. It's not maybe quite as manoeuvrable as some of the other British cruisers in terms of its like rudder shift plus turning radius, but it's still pretty good. You know, you're going to compare it to, I don't know, French cruisers or Soviet cruisers or whatever. It's still pretty good. Right, we have 2 each at the moment. Was it the Seattle that was complaining? Can we even see where they died? Down there, I guess. I think maybe they had that they succumbed to the temptation to try and rush in and use their radar against somebody that was clearly capping, and that did not work out for them. Which you kind of have to do, generally speaking, unless you spot a particular opportunity to get in somewhere, get in cover, or if there's just an area where the enemy team is just like completely ignoring it.
Our team has taken the lead.
My smoke is almost done. I wonder if that's the lightning in C. It probably is. Our Sashio's going for this cap. Okay, let's just slow down and pop another smoke. I hope we can do a bit more damage this time. Nearly 100 hits and only 1 fire. Wasn't the best RNG. I don't think the was it 133? Right, it's no Smolensk, but that's a good thing. Yeah, I don't think the fire chance is that amazing. And honestly, I mean, I could maybe be getting more if I had IFHE. I don't think I've got IFHE on this captain. Like, in terms of raw damage. That might be the way to go with it. Like I said, I don't tend to play a lot of cruisers of this this style generally. I'm not sure with the smaller caliber if IFHE would give you a big enough bump to your high explosive penetration characteristics. But who knows? It'd be nice if I could get a fire. There we go, De Grosser. Ah, someone having pop-up. No, someone having a pop-up ship that's behind me. It's the secondaries. Well, it's very nice of that De Grosser to get impatient and just press in. Not a good move on their part, and that now leaves that Nagato rather isolated. Oh, well, that was that Zeton going behind me. I mean, they weren't close enough for me to actually catch any damage that wasn't meant for me, but you know, it was a bit of bonus thingamy damage. Yeah, you can see even at like only 15 kilometers, the shell's still taking a fair time to get there. So, trying to fire at max range, there's maybe an argument to be made for getting the oh, you're dead, aren't you, Nagato? The increased rate of fire instead, but I can't even remember what the range was without it. I don't know, range always gives you options in terms of like increased response time to incoming fire, but you do have to, you know, like ballistics are certainly a very relevant consideration in that. I'm sure there's people out there face palming at the fact I'm using the actual the extra range rather than going for the extra rate of fire. And you know, even though it comes at the cost of turret traverse, of course, with the relevant mod. Oh, hello. It doesn't really like it's a pretty fast turret traverse on this, so it doesn't really affect it materially. Right, if we can finish off that Bismarck, this enemy team is kind of a bit collapsing, aren't they? so much lead, goodness sake, 14 seconds. Even against a big, slow battleship. It does require a bit of, yeah. I mean, you'll have seen in the port screen, I haven't exactly played this thing a huge amount. I think I've played like maybe 2 games in it to get that 2k. Or like 2 or 3 games to get that 2k base XP. And you know, there's not that many ships that use this as a primary gun. Like there's this and the Dido, and I think the only other places you find it are as secondary guns. Right, are you looking my way, or is that the sneaky lightning? He's around somewhere. Right, he's gone. Yeah, this was just a little bit one-sided. This game, wasn't it? Now, if the lightning's there, I suspect they will be retreating. The Izumo is kind of like they can either go forwards into me or they can go backwards into the Izumo, but in theory they'll get spotted either way. Yeah, there you are. So you've gone that way. Hello, lightning. Man, even at close ranges. You're gonna run around? Please run around. No, I don't think you are. Okay. Well, I mean, to be fair, if I was in that lightning's position, I'd take my chances with the slower firing battleship guns of an Izumo rather than a pew-pew high explosive light cruiser. That really only just makes sense. We have a Schroeder on our team. Just noticed that. If you're wondering, by the way, this is 3-kilometer hydro, so yeah, it's the same as the British destroyers. It's that style of hydro where it's short range but long lasting. Defensive hydro, in other words. There you go, the Lightning himself using it. Right, am I about to eat a face full of torpedoes? Because that would have been embarrassing if I did. It's a good thing I'm in a very manoeuvrable ship.
Enemy destroyer sunk.
Also, hello, Lexington. Right, let me get shots in the arse right now. Someone else got it. Never mind. You're starting to reverse. Right, this is just going to be a bit of damage farming because my damage numbers are not amazing.
Enemy aircraft carrier detected.
I'm going to try and... Oh, I'm actually surprised. I mean, is the Bismarck like super... I don't know. I'd have thought they'd be like, ooh, that's a squishy looking cruiser, I'll go for that. That's my usual experience playing squishy cruisers. Could pop a smoke here actually, but it would lose the Lexington spotter. A bunch of torpedoes.
Victory is in sight.
I'm not taking it there, but that's nothing too much to worry about. Ah, he's turning away a bit, that's fine.
Our team has taken the lead.
Right, let's pop that smoke.
Smoke generator activated.
We do take a hit. I mean, unless I get, like, detonated or something. Right, they're going to take some Asashio torps, it looks like, so that's just going to leave the carrier at that point. Be another one, not right enough for the kill. See if I can get the kill. Right, I don't think slowly reversing is going to save you, Lexington. We're really just seeing if we can get them before the time goes out, which I think we probably can. The Lexington is not especially well armoured. Well, this hasn't been an amazing damage game, but I'll take it. Bit of a mismatch between the teams, though. There we go, 88,000, nearly 89,000. About halfway up the team. We had quite a lot of, like, everybody did over 1,000 base XP there, so can't complain. 1,500's respectable enough. Let's have a look at the damage. A little bit of fire damage, mostly the guns. I'm actually going to quickly check. Oh, yes, hello, Admiral Thingamy Collection. Yeah, we could have had... Ah, okay, no, that's heavy HE, that's not IFHE. There we go. So what does IFHE do? Well, we can't actually click that because there's 21%. 21%? A 21 point captain. As you can see, I just reused the Mysore captain. The Mysore has got 6-inch AP only guns, if I remember correctly. So there's no point in having it. So, you know, I could have put a separate captain in, but I think that's my only 21 point Commonwealth captain. So, yeah, this might well be worth having the extra bit of, what is it, 22? It's already over the 21mm threshold, but it would cut down the fire chance a fair bit. Can't remember what the next significant threshold is. Anyway, so I don't know. I'd have to go and do my homework to see if IFHE was worth it or not, but yeah. It's, you know, workable without it. It just might be a bit better with it, but I don't have another high points captain to put on this thing with IFHE. I mean, I think you got to see there that the highest next one was like 10 points or something. Anyway. Okay, more destroyers this time. But I don't have to worry about being air spotted, which is fine. No submarines either. We've gotten a bit lucky today with this recording. Haven't had submarines in either game. We'll definitely have to be careful about the surface spotting, though, of course. So, Summers, Tromp, Benham especially could be nasty, and Asashio is very, very sneaky as well. So here's where we're going to be glad we've got the Hydro rather than the defensive. Because a defensive would be utterly useless right now. Whereas Hydro is always going to be useful because there are always going to be things with torpedoes. So, I guess we'll kind of follow the Summers in and be ready to pop a smoke. Summers is reasonably sneaky, but it's not as good as the Benham, or obviously things like the Shima. What's the other things they had? The Tromp. The Tromp, I have no idea. I don't think the Tromp is especially sneaky. I do have to remind myself that that's the one with the airdrops, of course. I don't think it... Does it get torpedoes? I can't remember. I'm at that stage now where, unless I actually have the ship in port, it gets hard for me to remember what its characteristics are. So that's by far the best way to, like, fix it in your mind, is to actually have it and play it yourself. Right, let's see if I get spotted or not. I'm actually turning broadside so I can turn nose in rapidly if need be and then pop smoke, because that'll help shed some speed. Okay, Shikishima. If the Summers keeps them spotted, or am I spotting them right now? No, it was the Summers. Nobody's capping A just yet. I'm definitely being a bit, not having said I'm going to play cautiously, no, I'm probably being a bit too bold at the moment. To completely rely on my smoke, because of course I have to slow down to use it. Although if I'm pointing away, it still operates just like normal smoke. Right, I think we will. We've got an opportunity to pepper that Shikishima now with some high explosive. Not moving especially fast, so let's go for it. I think ideally I would have my own captain for this rather than just reusing the Mysore captain, but yeah. Like there's only Commonwealth premiums at the moment, so you'd have to grind the same ship over and over quite a bit to get the captain that you want. Although I suppose you could use all the premiums to grind to the same captain, but then only one of them is actually necessarily going to get the benefit of the setup you're going for. Right there. Just letting that fire burn, which is kind of what you want to see actually as a battleship player that's being sensible and not just hitting DCP at the first sign of a single fire. They have just hit DCP, but I don't think like if they do take a flooding from those torpedo hits, it might well have still been active. Guess we'll see from their hit points soon enough. No, it was still active, so either that or the Summers just didn't get a flooding on them. We can hopefully get another fire. Guess we'll see. There we go. Right, that will stick.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
Theory. Oh, or not. Did they just extinguish that? It's hard to tell. There's a bunch of smoke hanging around them. Right, somebody's got a fire on them, but that's not my fire because it's not ticking up. Maybe they did have... I don't know. I mean, it's possible they just have built to minimise the duration of fires. Is that aimed at me? Yes. Wasn't particularly close though. Right, hello Benham.
Torpedoes to starboard.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
Enemy summons is there as well. That's not a nice combination, especially. I'm not sure who's spotting me right now. There must be somebody else within range. I don't especially fancy pressing into that, I'll be honest. That could be quite a lot of nasty torpedoes. Let's just fan those torpedoes out there. Right, that being both of their US torp destroyers, that's
Torpedoes direct front.
kind of unwelcome.
Torpedoes
I
dead
don't think
ahead.
there's much our Summers could have done there running into two of them. It does look like most of them are on the other flank, though. If the Shikishima wasn't, like, trying to do bad things to me,
Direct front.
then I might be feeling a bit more aggressive at the moment, but I'm just trying to get to cover, essentially, behind that island. And hopefully I can beat the Shikishima reload. Yeah, if there weren't a very, very, oh god, nasty, large gunned battleship trying to, nail me. Ram some torpedoes in that direction. Yeah. Oh, are you really going for this Begonia? I don't think that's a great idea, to be honest.
The enemy is about to win.
I mean, we kind of need a cap. It's not looking great, is it? I mean, the big blob on the other flank is sort of running rampant, so... yeah, I suspect if I don't try this, it's going to be over very soon, and if I do try this and die, it's still going to be over very soon.
To port.
I don't think there's much to be done. Look at that points gap. That's not good. Oh, that's not good. Well, I'm glad for the long-running Hydro. Oh, can I... Yeah, let's not take torpedo. Problem is, I've got torps coming from two separate directions now to worry about. Oh, hello, Venom.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
And, yeah. Only about 40-odd seconds of Hydro left. Okay, if we can stop the bleeding, that would be good, but I don't particularly just want to... Well, I'm actually kind of surprised I'm not spotted right now. Right, there we go. It's moderately annoying, never mind. I just have the ability to do that. Kind of why I was trying to get to this island. Bad news is though, my Hydro's about to go, so if somebody decides to pop round and torpedo me in the face, that might be an issue. The Summers at least has a long reload. The Benham, of course, does not. Benham reloads in something like 60 or 70 seconds, so yeah. I could use the crawling smoke, of course. But without the Hydro available. It's a sort of risky position, but man, look at that points gap. It's the kind of situation where if you're not taking the risk, then yeah, you're going to lose either way. Oh, they're both there. Interesting. However, I have a little sneaky trick I can do. I thought they were going to try and work together to sort of get me from both sides, but no.
Problem solved, sir.
Well, I have a temporary respite. We have about 30 seconds left till the Hydro comes back.
Torpedoes
And I would really very much like to get a...
Torpedoes astern.
fire going with that Shikishima. Come on, Hydro. The Jean Bart's kind of buggered off and left me, which is not ideal. Alright, if I accelerate here, I'm going to get spotted, but hopefully the Shikishima won't be able to... No, it's firing, it's firing, it's firing. That's not good. Oh, it hurts. Oh, I don't like it. Yeah, if the Shikishima wasn't there, this might be a slightly easier situation, but the Shikishima is there, and they're angry, and they have big guns, and I don't like it. Come on! Come on! No, I'll probably spam some of them into the island, but never mind. It's fine. Right, now I'm the one that gets to reset.
Torpedoes direct front. Torpedoes dead ahead.
Oh, I might actually take one of these. I've overcompensated. I was trying to get through a gap, but oof.
Hull breach. We're
Yeah.
taking on water.
I mean,
Problem solved.
I think
sir.
the chances of salvaging this were probably somewhat remote, to be honest. Oh, right, I did get a torpedo to the Shikishima, but yeah. I mean, the battleships just kind of ran away and left me, and that was my only support. They ran away and left me against the Shikishima and the 2 destroyers, so yeah. But just looking at the score, we've been losing this one since fairly early on. So I'm kind of not surprised. Now those 2 battleships are kind of a bit screwed because they've got the Asashio on one side, the Summers and the Benham on the other. Like if at least one of them had stayed to support me, that might have maybe been at least doable to secure the ACAP. But no, they both ran into the middle, and that was that. So that's a pity, but oh well. This was actually, in its own way, a bit less one-sided than the previous game in terms of, like, ships killed, but in terms of points, it's been pretty one-sided for most of the game. So, yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes. So there we go, less damage than last time. I suspect, to be fair, even if those battleships, one of them even had just stuck around to help me and we cleared out and secured the ACAP, we would have still had a really tough time winning that one. Just because of them having more ships and far more points, and they still would have had the Asashio left as well. We did have at least one effective player. That rune managing 1400 XP on a defeat is not nothing. They obviously were doing the lion's share on that flank. But yeah, I mean, the surviving 2 battleships were very healthy. The Asashio did get taken out eventually. They got a bit greedy and pushed too close to the... was it the Bourgogne or the Jean Bart? I can't remember. I think it was the Jean Bart that took them out. But yeah, the Bourgogne just got killed in a crossfire of torpedoes, and the Jean Bart got severely damaged, and then did manage to kill the Asashio, but then succumbed to battleship fire. So yeah, it would have been very tough to win that one, but it might have been at least vaguely possible. But never mind. So yeah, overall, it's decent. I mean, it probably could do with a specialised captain. But yeah, why was I thinking... Okay, why was I thinking I had at best 10? Maybe I should put one of these ones on. 19's not quite as good as 21, but yeah. That's probably not a bad idea, as try it with an IFHE captain. But yeah, it might help the damage output. It's not necessarily otherwise going to massively change how it plays, though. So overall, it's not bad. It's definitely not my usual kind of cruiser, as I said, but it's certainly kind of funky looking, and it's apparently Drax's favourite variant of that particular series of post-Dido designs. So yeah, it's got that going for it as well, I suppose. It is very funky looking. So that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can do all the usual things down underneath it. And of course, as always, stay tuned for more.